Hi everyone, and welcome once again to one of our Hobby Memorial Library events. This is going to be an in-person event, and it is on self-defense. We have with us today Britt Emerton. She is the owner of Absolute Self-Defense Academy, and she has done an event with us before. It was a virtual event, so we're excited to have live people here to do this event with, and she's going to talk to us today about being safe. So there you go, Britt.
All right, thank you. Okay, so hi, I'm Brittany, and these are my students. This is Noah. Say hi, Noah. And this is Miss Rosie. They've been with me, how long? How long have you done? 1 year? 1 year. Yeah, 1 year. We're here to demonstrate and show forms of self-defense. We're going to go over quite a few things from falling properly, because I know we have some people at home that don't recognize or don't understand or don't know that there is actually a proper way how to fall down, which my kiddos will demonstrate later on. We also have some situations and scenarios where if you're being pinned to the ground, or if they're trying to grab you by your arm or choke you, what you can do in order to avoid just enough or escape just enough for you to be able to get away and avoid the situation or get away from the situation as safely as possible, and also to avoid legal action. Because there is such a thing as going too far in your self-defense. So we also are going to talk about some topics as far as being safe at home, being safe when going to your vehicle, and things like that. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over falling, okay? So you'd be surprised how many people don't know what it's like to fall properly. My kiddos, like I said, they've been with me for a year, so they definitely know how to fall. We're going to start off with the first fall. Mr. Noah, Miss Rosie, they're going to go ahead and demonstrate how to do a back break fall. And what that is say someone's coming up to you, or if you slip. Lately in Texas, we've been dealing with ice. So that is a big one too. Or if you miss a step, is a big one too. So with that said, the first thing that they're going to do is, of course, when training, we want to put ourselves in certain situations, but of course when falling, you want to practice these falls enough to where you get muscle memory. Jiu-jitsu and our self-defense is all about muscle memory, because of course, when you're falling, you don't think about it, you just react. And normally the body's natural reaction is to what? Put these hands back and fall on your elbows, right? That's actually the worst thing that you can do. Because what's going to happen is that impact, kind of like when you drop a stone in the water, and it displaces that. Like if you think of the ripples and picture in your head of the ripples, that ripples are the impact. That impact is going all over here in the shoulders and in the upper back, and that's how you can injure yourself. So this is a way to fall properly. We actually want to fall. Go ahead and turn around for me, Rosie. We actually want to fall right here on the shoulder blades. This is where we want the major form of impact, okay? And also with that fall back comes, we like to call it the whiplash. And that's when your head goes back like this. So when you fall on your elbows, your head's going to snap back. Just like in an accident, when you get hit by a car, a lot of that important stuff like nerves and stuff like that are all back here. You can really hurt yourself, hurt your neck. So, with that said, go ahead, guys. Go ahead, arms across chest, chin to your chest, squat down, roll back, and smack. Okay, very good. Go ahead and do that 3 times for me. Now, these kids are used to doing it on the mats, but in a real life situation, of course, they're going to be doing it on the ground. Very good, guys. So, another thing that you guys, I don't know if you guys seen it, so when you guys do it, let's go ahead and face the camera this way. I know you're doing it in front of those that are sitting, but right here. So whenever they do it, so go ahead and do one for me, guys, and stay right there. Ooh, right there, good. Oh, right there, Rosie. So when we're here, you guys seen when they fall, of course they fall on the part that I told them to fall. They fall on their shoulder blades. And you can still see, especially with Noah here, he has his chin tucked in. That's a big part too. You want to pretend, like what I tell the kids, to super glue your chin to your chest and fall on that part of your back. Another thing you guys, I'm sure, have noticed is that they smack the ground. That is another form of displacement with the impact when they fall. So that's really important with that. Okay? Any questions? Back break fall? Awesome. All right, go ahead and stand up. All right, so we're not going to do side break fall, okay? Side break falls are a little bit different. This is when you slip on the sideways. Just to be safe, we're not going to do that one. But we are going to do our forward break falls. Now, forward break falls, I can personally say, help me. I had shoulder surgery one time, and I'm like goofy as all get out. And I tripped and I fell forward in a sling. And my initial reaction, because I've been doing this for 13 years, was to do a forward break fall. So with our forward break falls, we're going to be bringing our hands out. Not yet, not yet. I know you're ready. We're going to be bringing our hands forward. Like I said, the muscle, the body, and the brain's natural reaction is to put your hands forward, right, and catch yourself with your wrists. But we don't want to do that because, once again, the impact is right here on this little itty-bitty wrist here, okay? And we don't want that because that's how stuff gets broken, and we don't want to do that, right? That and your shoulders. So we want to try our best to make sure we use the largest part of our body at the time, the first impact, which would be the forearm here. So the forearm is what we're actually going to be falling on instead of our wrist. So we go from wrist to forearm, it's a lot bigger, right? Like a lot more form of displacement. And that's what we're looking for. Then after that, we're going to make it so we kind of do it in a plank position, okay? And we turn our head because depending on how high you're falling from will determine on how hard you catch yourself. Of course, your face is going to go flat on the mat or on the floor. We don't want to bust our face, right? So we're always going to turn our chin. You guys go ahead. So we're going to put our hands out in front of us. They're going to squat down, forward, fall, just like that. Go ahead, back up. Okay, go ahead and face the camera. Very good. Go ahead, 2 more times. Very good. And notice when, especially with Noah, Rosie's kind of doing more plank position, which is fine too. Noah is actually sprawling his legs out, and this is creating a wider base, making it easier for him to tighten his core and keep his body from falling on the ground. A lot of times it's mainly gravel where we fall. Like I said, I'm goofy as I'll get out. I've fallen so many times forward, but I can honestly say I did not injure myself when I fell forward with my sling on because I fell just like that. So I can contest to this actually working out in real life situations. So I know that this can help a lot of people knowing how to fall. And then we just continue to drill this over and over and over and over until it's like instilled in their head to the point where it becomes second nature. A lot of times, kids will come up to me and Coach, I fell in the playground. My question, I answered them is, did you fall right? Or, Coach, I fell down. Did you fall right? Did you tuck your chin? No, yeah, I did. Did you feel better? I had a nephew who got injured from falling, and he tucked his chin. He broke his neck, unfortunately, but the doctor said if he hadn't tucked his chin, because he did jiu-jitsu with me for about 10 years, he would have been a lot more injured than he would have. So it's really good to keep that muscle memory in mind when you practice these things. You can practice them like on the bed, something soft, and then work your way up to, of course, carpet and stuff like that. So, or you can just come hang out with us. We got lovely mat space for you to come and hang out with us, and I'd be love to teach you guys how to do that stuff. So, any questions on falling? No questions? All right, beautiful. Okay, so you guys can go ahead and have a seat. All right, so I have these notes because I have a lot to talk about. So, as far as self-defense goes, we want to start with the main place where we normally will hang out at. Is home. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of a homebody. I like chilling out at home, especially when it's starting to get cold. You're like, nah, I don't go out. So, and especially with the holidays coming around, buying gifts, a lot of stuff like that. And there's a lot of times where people want to have the things that you have, unfortunately, and they want to take the things that you have, unfortunately. So, a lot of precautions that we can take when it comes to self-defense and arming our home, so to speak, is make sure you have adequate lighting. Okay, lighting is very important. I know at my house we have sensors, light sensors, and cameras to back those light sensors up. So normally when you see movement, light will turn on, cameras are right there on them. So that kind of deters predators or people that are trying to come into your home and steal your things. So always be mindful of that. I know a lot of you guys have, some of you guys have those, I only know for the Dollar Tree, probably Five Below or something, where they have like the solar lights, and you're like, oh, that light is fun. No, it's not. You can't see anything with those. I break my neck. It's just like, whoop, there's a still in there. So just make sure that it's bright enough, just to where it can deter people that are trying to steal stuff from your home. Lighting is very important, not only for you to see, but to deter them from being like sneaking in little places. Because normally that's where they want to be, is in the shadows, right? So make sure that you check your locks. So some people don't think about that stuff. Like, if you think about how old your home is, when was the last time you actually checked your locks to make sure that, you know, the wood in the frame isn't deteriorating or anything like that? The chains lock properly, they lock into place properly. Odd story is on my door, thank God we fixed it. On our door, I realized it, but as I would leave, I would just shut the door. Bye, babe, have a good day, you know? And the door would open. And I would not know the door would open. My husband works from home, and then he'll send me a picture, be like, hey, you didn't shut the door. And I'm like, yeah, I did, sorry. Because the door latch wouldn't shut. No matter how hard I'd shut it, or even if it was just a normal, like, I would pull in the door, because of the wood being warped by age, but it's still wood, you know? The door wouldn't shut. So it's kind of little things like that you kind of don't take into consideration. And that's maybe something that we should start to take into consideration. So make sure you check your locks. Make sure your locks are, if you don't, replace them. Make sure that they shut and they lock properly. Things like that. Make sure the chain isn't corroded. Now, some of you guys have chains on the door, right? Some people do. I don't know if they still have them. But just make sure that those aren't corroded either, because, you know, over time, things kind of wear. So just be mindful of that kind of stuff. Who is a social person when it comes to being in your neighborhood? Anybody? You? Yeah? So do you know your neighbors? Like, do you, like, talk to them and stuff? That's good, though. I mean, it sounds weird, and some people are like, I don't want to know anybody in my neighborhood, but it's good. You'd be surprised how much it's good to know your neighbors, especially when you're out of town, or know somebody that's close to where you are. We all have that nosy neighbor. It's good to have and know your neighbors and talk to your neighbors, because usually they're the ones that'll be like, hey, I saw this real creepy person like walking around the neighborhood, or keep an eye on that stuff for you. Or if you're out of town, or if you have packages on the door, it's a big one, especially with Amazon. I know Amy is my neighbor, and I'm all like, hey, Amy, can you come by my house and pick up my packages? But she'll tell me if there's something that goes down, and it's good to know. It's good to have that support in your neighborhood. So, sounds weird, get to know your neighbors. You'd be surprised. A big one too, and my dad used to teach this to me, is when someone knocks on your door, visually check to see who it is before you open it. I know that sounds weird, and normally our first reaction is just be like, what do you want? Okay? Look through the little peephole, or if you have a little window on the side, visually check, because you'll be surprised. Normally, they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, it's Amazon, and then you realize it's not Amazon. Okay? Or they have someone hiding, and then it's 2 against 1. Or they kick the door open as you try to open that door and crack it open a little bit, you know. So visually check before opening your door, not open your door and check. Does that make sense? Everybody understand? All right. Make sure everybody pay attention. We're not having a quiz on this. You're good. Ask for a photo ID of all delivery and repair people. Okay? And that's kind of along that same lines as opening the door and checking. Especially, I heard, it wasn't that long ago, but I heard that there was actually a series of robberies where these people were pretending to be, you know, those security salesmen, where they try to sell those security cameras. I don't remember the name of the security company, but they were pretending to be these people. What was happening was they were opening their doors and letting them come in to check their security system, and they would get robbed or worse. So please be mindful if you are expecting plumbers or anybody like that, because a lot of times when people come to do things to you or break into your house or try to rob you, it's mainly because they were scoping your house long before that. It's very rare that it's an impulse thing. So most likely they'll know your routines and your comings and goings and your family's comings and goings. Okay, so just be mindful of that stuff when it comes to who's coming through your door. Okay? Okay, so that was safety at home. Now we have safety away from home. Don't hitchhike. Don't be that person. I know there's some friendly people out there, but we're not how we used to be. Do not hitchhike. Don't try to ask. I know Uber. You know what's funny with Uber? They always, you're always talking never to get in cars with strangers. Now over here Ubering. It's weird. I don't trust Uber. That's just me personally. Anyway, off my soapbox. Don't hitchhike. Don't use ATMs at night or in unsafe or unfamiliar areas. And that's kind of like a common sense thing, but you'd be surprised not a lot of people notice that kind of stuff or think about that kind of stuff. We all can think of it in our heads, that one shady ATM. You're like, better do it. And that's usually because that's usually where you become a victim. It was a rob you, right? You're going to the ATM, you're trying to get money out of the ATM, and there it is right there. Just waiting for it to happen. Sorry to say, but so just be mindful of your area, situational awareness. You know, that's kind of important. Don't go into any places that aren't like well lit. So back to the lighting. Oh, very good. We're in the library. Cool. Do not overload yourself with books or things in your hand, especially when you're alone. And this is kind of a given thing because you always want to be ready for in case anything happens. So I don't know how late some of you guys get off of work here or when you're done school. But there's like that lovely little parking lot there. I just picture you guys walking there and you're I'm not saying be paranoid, just be, what's the word I'm looking for? Vigilant. Does that make sense? Cool. Awesome. So always just be mindful of that. You can always have like one of those totes. Put yourself in totes. Have it on the shoulder. That way your hands are free in case something was to happen. So, there's that. Vehicle safety. Ooh, this is my favorite one. Okay, so when it comes to vehicle safety, and what I mean by vehicle safety is, once again, we're walking out to the parking lot, and we've had our car in the parking lot, we've been here all day, or say we went to Walmart. Walmart's a big one. I actually got attacked in the Walmart parking lot one time. It wasn't that fun. You want to be very vigilant, and my dad actually taught me some of this stuff, and I still today do a lot of these. It's kind of like a ritual thing I do. I'll come out of Walmart. I've been in there for about an hour or something, and I like to do a walk around my car. So what I'll do is I'll walk around my car, check and see if there's any like scratches or key marks or anything like that, because you know how some people are. I like to look in the back seat. I know that sounds weird, but I like to look in the back seat. So I'll walk around my car, I'll look in the back seat, and then I'll look under my car. Because a lot of times what will happen, and a story that my dad, I was a little gruesome, but a story my dad used to tell me was there was a guy who was abducting women, and what he would do is he would sit underneath the car, and he would take a box cutter, and he would hit their legs with a box cutter, and they would fall down, and then he would abduct them. So, of course, before you approach, you check underneath the car, and then that's when you walk around and you look into the back seat, make sure there's nobody in the back seat. So just like I said, be vigilant, check behind your car, things like that. So, you know, some of you guys are like, this is intense. Yeah. Like I said, you'd be surprised. And it's the one time you don't think, oh, like, something happened to me. No. That's usually what it does. Sucks, but it's true. Can't find our way out of. Don't be afraid to run a red light. I know that sounds weird. I'm not saying to do it, okay? But don't be afraid to run a red light. If you're approached by a suspicious person at an intersection, or when stopping at intersections, always leave enough space between your car and the next to drive away if necessary. Okay? I know that sounds silly, but in case for a quick getaway, be mindful of that kind of stuff. Always keep your gas tank at least half full. This is a huge one. I actually do this, and this is mainly just for my own security. It's just good to have. It's kind of like that emergency cushion that you kind of have, especially like some people do it with money. I do it with gas. It's just good to have that half a tank of gas in case something was to happen, or an emergency, or say like you have a child that's in school and you're not trying to rush. Man, my gas tank is on E. Because always when you need to go somewhere in a hurry, you never have gas in your tank. I don't know what y'all would have. That happens to me all the time. I just get mad. So whenever you have time, always try to at least keep a half a tank of gas in your car. If you know your route, and check a map before driving if you're going in another area. Back in the day, you guys remember MapQuest? We had to print it out. I don't know some people do. But yeah. So I just thought, every time my dad says that to me, I always think of that part. But nowadays we have like GPS and stuff. And it's good to kind of see different avenues of which way, okay, so this is happening, or this way, I can go this way. It's always good to have backups to your backups to your backups. Always have a game plan, okay? Always park in well-lit and heavy traveled areas. Once again, so there's one more thing I can't think of, but I have one too. And it's just good to have just in case anything happens, you know, you never know, especially 2 days ago, we had hail. It was really weird. But, I mean, you would have never known if you would have gotten caught in that driving. You know, some people have to pull over. You don't know how long that kind of stuff happens. We were in a tornado warning too, weren't we? So that kind of stuff, it's just good to be prepared for. Any questions on that? I know it was a lot of information I threw on you. Is there any questions on that? No? All right, now we're going to go into the demo stuff. You kids ready? You guys ready? You fall asleep yet? No? All right, so now we're going to go into the situation. Now, heaven forbid anything was to happen. Someone was to come after you, catch you from behind, take you down onto the ground, okay? So my kids, we do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but a lot of it transfers over to self-defense, okay? And they also learn basic self-defense as well. So the first one that we're actually going to do is we call it the self-defense technique number 1, defense against the one-hand grab. So a lot of the stuff is the basics, very, very basic, very, very easy. So I'm going to need you guys to turn this way, okay? Good. Okay. So, yeah. No, you can do bad guy. Yeah. And Rosie's a good guy. So this is what's going to happen if the bad guy comes and you're walking and he's like, I want you to come with me. So he's going to grab her by the hand really, really, really tight. And like I said, once again, this is really basic, very easy. You guys can practice this stuff at home. Even practice it with your kids. This is a really good thing to teach your kids, especially nowadays when heaven forbid child abduction stuff is really scary. Okay, I have a 7-year-old and she knows this stuff. Okay. But yeah, anyway, so Noah is the bad guy. He's going to grab Rosie. Rosie's going to be like, nah, not today. She's going to open her hand really, really wide, roll over his hand, because I don't know if any of you guys know, the thumb is actually the weakest part of the hand. So when she opens her hand really, really wide, she's going to roll her wrist over his hand, and she's going to go straight down, smack the floor, and when she comes back up, she's going to take that momentum and hit him right in his face, because Noah, he's smart. He knows that if he takes that momentum with her and goes down, because if he's really actually trying to hold on to her, he's going to go down with her. He's not going to want to let go. So, of course, when she comes back up for that rebound, boom, right in the face. Knock some teeth out. Don't touch me again, right? So, but they know better not to hit each other like that. So let's go ahead. Bad guy right there. Ready? Go. Okay, 2 more times. So she's going to open her hand really wide, roll over, smack that floor, come back up with that elbow. Okay? So that was the defense against the one-hand grab. Now, with these 2 hands, we got to kind of change it up a little bit, okay? So now he's really mad, and he's like, no, you're really coming with me. We're going to go now. So what he's going to do is he's going to grab her with 2 hands. This is when they're trying to pull, really trying to pull them away. And different one we're going to use is she's going to give a thumbs up. When she gives this thumbs up, she's going to reach over and she's going to grab her thumb. After that, she's going to pull up and out, and she's going to hit with this part of her hand, like a club, right against his temple. When we do our self-defenses, we really want to do it to stun, not to kill. We're trying to do it just to stun them just enough so that we can go and run off to either, if they're a kid, go to a mom, or the safe place is what we call it in the academy. It's a safe place. So she's just doing that just enough so she can go run to the safe place. So go ahead, Rosie, give me 3 more times. Good job. Very good. Okay, so that was our self-defense technique number 2. Now we're going to do against the 2-hand choke. So we're kind of like stepping it up as we go. Now, like I said, these are the very basic low-level self-defense techniques. In our academy, we start getting more and more intricate. So we do have self-defenses against pinning against the wall. We have, if they put you in headlocks, we have so many. We even have, like, if someone tries to throw a chair at you, or someone tries to hit you with a baseball bat, we go that far. But of course, those are more intricate techniques, and we teach them as their level grows. So Rosie and Noah are white belts, 4th degree. Once they go to their gray white, then they'll start learning more intricate techniques, such as if someone pins you up against the wall and stuff like that. So defense gets the 2-hand choke. So now Noah, yeah, you can, yeah. So normally when we drill this, we have them put our hands on the shoulders, but for demonstration purposes, no, you can actually choke her. Yeah. So what's going to happen here is Rosie's going to be in her fighting stance, because whenever we're attacked, we always want to have good balance. Okay? And what I mean by fighting stance is we're going to have one foot in front of the other and nice soft knees. Okay, so what happens there is, because if she was standing side by side, go ahead and put your hands down, Noah. Side by side, just like Noah here, our base is a little off. So, but if he was in his fighting stance, go ahead, fighting stance. It's a lot harder for me to push him over. Thank you, Mom. It's a lot harder for me to push him over. So we always want to have at least a strong fighting stance or base. This is really important. So Rosie's here. Noah's going to be the bad guy. He's choking her. She's going to have a nice, strong fighting stance. She's going to reach over, touch the sky, rainbow, smack the mat, and come back up with that elbow. Once again, same thing, just like our first self-defense techniques. What happens is if he's trying to hold on to her, he's going to go down with her. And that's when we meet them halfway with that elbow, right in the back of the elbow here in the face. So let's go ahead. 2 more times. Very good. Good job. All right. Any questions on those self-defense techniques? Standing up. No questions? Awesome. All right. Now we're going to do what happens if someone has you up in the crowd. A big one for the ladies. So we do have females and males in our academy. We do have them roll against each other if they feel comfortable. And I like to push my ladies to roll with the gentlemen, mainly because for self-defense reasons. I have coached a lot. Go ahead, Rosie Bottom, and then know what I'm talking about. I have coached a lot of, unfortunately, sexual assault. We work together, and it does, jiu-jitsu does help a lot with not only making them feel more powerful and more in control, but it also helps them with healing as well. You start gaining that confidence knowing that I can finally defend myself against a guy. This one person in particular, she couldn't even have her collar grabbed. And we worked and built up to it, and a year later, she was able to be like, all right, I'm ready to go. And she felt more comfortable rolling with men, which is great. It was a huge win. Okay, you know, you start learning stuff, and we put you in certain situations where you don't feel comfortable, small doses, of course. We don't ever want to overstimulate you. You start feeling more confident, especially when you start drilling and you start seeing it working. You're like, hey, I did that Oopa on this 230-pound dude the other day. Didn't think you could do it before, but you did it. You know, and then of course we're over here like, it's great. So it's a good time. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and head facing. All right, so we have Rosie here. Rosie was playing around, and she ended up getting pushed down by Noah, and Noah jumped on top of her. And you guys saw how small Rosie is compared to Noah. Well, with jiu-jitsu, or the self-defense we like to use, uses leverage and momentum to help move opponents. So it's actually meant for the smaller, weaker person to move and manipulate the bigger person. Now, I can contest to that. I weigh 142 pounds, and I'm not ashamed of it. But I'm over here going against 200-pound men every day, and they're struggling. You never would have thought that, right? But they do. So the first basics thing, so even when they come in and they're doing a trial class, because we do offer free trial classes, the first thing I teach them is how to fall and how to boot up. Because if they never come back, at least I know they know how to defend themselves from getting pinned on the ground, and they know how to fall properly. So this is one of the first things we teach them, okay? So the first thing that she's going to do is, if you think about a base, right, Noah has 4 points. You know what else has 4 points? Table. So if you think of your table, and you take out 2 legs on one side, what's the table going to do? Fall, right? Yeah, it's going to fall. So that's pretty much the concept of what we're trying to do here. So first thing Rosie's going to do is she's going to have what we like to call frames. For the kids, I call it T-Rex arms. So you always want to keep your elbows nice and tight to your body, always, even in a self-defense situation. It helps you keep everything nice and tight. You don't get anything alienated here because women love us to death. We have no body strength. You could be the strongest woman in the world, but realistically, men are going to be stronger body-wise. Our strength is in the lower body. And this is what we're going to use to help us get him off the top of us. So we're here. Rosie has her frames up. Very good. She's going to go ahead and she's going to use, we call it 2-on-1. She's going to put 2 hands on 1 arm. Okay? Then what she's going to do next is she's going to pull it across, and we like to call it buckling the seatbelt. She's going to pull it across, and she's going to trap that close to her body. Here, slow down, kiddo. She's already on it. So now what we're going to do is she already took 1 table leg out. She has that arm trapped. That arm's not going nowhere. Now what she's going to do is she's going to trap the foot. She's already has it done here, because once again, we're going back to that muscle memory. She's already had it. She's like, I got it, coach. So she's stepping over his foot. You can't see it on this side. Well, she did it on this side too. But she steps over his foot, and she's going to drag that heel back to her butt. This is going to help trap that side. So if you picture it, now we have two legs trapped, right? We have this table leg taken out, because he can't stretch it out. And we have this table leg taken out. We can't stretch it out. Right? So now it's the fall time. Now what she's going to do is she's going to take that other hand that's on that same side. She's going to reach up, grab his back as far back as she can. She's going to pull down, belly button to the sky, and roll. Just like that. Yeah? All right. Roll back over. Beautiful, Rosie. Go ahead, roll back over. All right. You want to do it all by yourself? Yeah? All right, go ahead. All by yourself. Very nice. Very nice. So that escape is called the Oopa Escape. Yeah, good job. That's called the Oopa Escape. And like I said, that's the first thing that the kids learn whenever they come to class. Thank you guys. Yes, go ahead, Beth. Go ahead and see. So that's basically the things that we teach. Just to give you a little taste, we do teach how to fall, our self-defense techniques. And all this stuff that we just showed you is only our first degree for kids. So there's so much intricate moves and self-defense techniques that we can teach you at the academy, and it only gets better and better and better. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And it doesn't seem like work. And, you know, after a while, like working out, you know, you're like, I'm going to work out today. You don't want to because it feels like work. But jiu-jitsu, well, first of all, it's like amazing cardio. Like, right, guys? You guys tired at the end of the day? Yeah, we're pretty tired. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like work. Because you're so, like, chess. I don't know if any of you like chess or checkers or anything like that. Mind games. Like a puzzle. I love puzzles so much. Jiu-jitsu is like using my game against my opponent's game and seeing whose game is better. Okay? It's like a puzzle you're trying to break. And on top of that, you're getting a wonderful workout, pure cardio. Way better than running on the treadmill, which is not fun. I have bad knees. I'm old. So, it's so fun. And then you're on the ground, and then they like to call us pajama fighters because this is the uniform we wear. It's all nice and baggy. Don't have to iron it. It's fun. Yeah. So, is there any questions on anything you guys saw today?
I have a question.
Yes, my dear.
I've taken self-defense before, and they were big on keys.
Oh,
like the
yes.
handful of keys.
Yes.
What
Okay.
do you do with them?
Yes. This is awesome. I'm happy that you mentioned that. So, keys. Yes. My dad showed me this too. We also do self-defense seminars as well. So there's also the lovely pepper spray, which my mother-in-law has. And they make so much different types of pepper spray. So pepper spray is a good option as well. The keys. So these are my keys. A big one my dad likes to say is you just take two. You're going to put your fingers in the middle, like this. And you just put them in between your fingers like this. So this is a good way to defend yourself, like makeshift weapons, so to speak. Another one is rings. Women love big diamond rings. Yeah, she's all like, yeah. Those are good too. Sometimes they say bigger is better. But those can do a nasty number on it too. But the keys, yes. The keys, car keys. Even just palming something in your hand when throwing a punch is big too. It's just the way you index something, and it just makes your punch that much more firmer. Jiu-jitsu, we don't punch and kick or anything like that, but yeah, the keys are a really good one. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was not thought about it at the time. Thank you. So yeah, so one more time, I'll show you. You'll take the key and you put it teeth out in between the two middle parts of your fingers. Just like this. And then you can walk around, so say you're walking to your car, if you don't feel like you're in a safe place. At least you have some form of weapon in case someone tries to grab. When I got attacked at the Walmart parking lot, the guy came up from behind me. He regretted it instantly. But I didn't have the key thing going on, which I wish I did because it would have been so much easier other than throwing him over my shoulder. And just made, like I said, muscle memory, right? So he came up from behind me, threw his arm over my shoulder like this, and I guess he was trying to drag me away or whatever he was trying to, I don't know what his intention was, heaven forbid. I threw him up and over my shoulder. And that's just that main reaction because I do it with my kids when I'm playing with them. I'll like kneel down. I'm sure you've seen me do it. Yeah, sure.
Is she gonna flip you?
I'm not gonna go behind me.
I wanna see this.
So what I do is, well, what he did was he went like this. So a seatbelt. Yeah. So he was going like this, and all I did was, of course, standing. I just rolled him up and over. So, of course, it was a lot more violent and a lot more quick. But I do it with my kids all the time. I'll be sitting down talking to a parent, and my kids will want to come and do a rear naked choke. I know you want to. So they'll do a rear naked choke like this, and then I'll go like this. And I'll throw them over my shoulder. You can lift a really heavy guy as long as your base and your hips are lower than his. Maybe later on, another time, we can get some mats out here. I'd love to show you guys some throws, if possible. But I lifted 200 or almost 300-pound man one time because my kids were like, "You're too heavy." I'm like, "Nah, you can throw anybody if your hips are lower than theirs." So always remember that. And that goes back to our base. Right? When it comes to our base, I'm always, even subconsciously, I always have my fighting skill. And this was just because I've been doing this thing all my life. You always want to have your knees bent. You always want to have one foot in front of the other. And then your hips are nice and relaxed. And that's when it came down to, I was walking to my car, and he threw that arm over, and I just went like this, and he just came over and just, regretted his decision instantly right away. And what I mean by that is when we're here, when we bend, and we use our legs, like I said, babies have strong legs, right? We want to bump it. Ooh, come here. I just got a good idea. Remember Ogashi? We're not going to throw. Just going to bump. Okay? Rosie, go ahead. Just bump. Don't throw. See? So she was able to lift her brother up, and she didn't have to use her strength. So go ahead. Do you remember when you guys were doing the airplanes?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and do the airplane. So I did a little joke. So he's pretty much holding her up on his hips. Can you do that to Noah, Rosie? So that's that hip that I was telling you about. So Rosie's much smaller than Noah, but she can hold him up on her hips. And that's what I mean by getting your hips lower than them. She didn't have to use, a lot of our throws don't really have to use much strength. As long as your leverage, the leverage that you have, and the angle that you're in, is all about angles too, is correct. Okay? So even if you're just this big, you should be able to throw a grown man. Because you don't have to lift him. You just got to get under him. Take his legs out from under you. No, not
No, risk management is not like that.
No, you're good. That's all I was like, he was going to show a different takedown. So, no, that's today.
They like one, too.
I know they do.
One so bad.
I know. Next demo, if we get mats. If they give us the okay. But yes, is there any other questions? Questions? Do we have any questions? Thank you. Yes?
No, I was just wanted to say thank you so much
Of
for
course.
this.
Of course.
Because to me it seems like it's a lot of confidence that you teach.
Yes.
And
There's so many life lessons, let me tell you. Like we were saying that the other day. We said it this morning. I actually taught a kids class this morning. I do have a homeschool program as well. And we do classes during the day. Rosie and I, of course, are part of that program. Wonderful program. And one of the kids was getting really frustrated because we were working our takedowns. And they were sparring. And he's like, "Coach, they're not letting me do it." And I'm like, "Well, they're not going to let you do it. No one's going to let you do anything in life. You're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to make it happen. You're going to have to put in the work." So not only do we teach martial arts and stuff, we do teach confidence. Because eventually he will, and I know he will, and I'm excited for the day he does, get that takedown because he earned it. He worked for it. He earned it. And that builds that confidence. So many times I've seen kids getting bullied and they come to me and their eyes are on the floor and they're hunched over.
Yeah,
yep.
That's when, I try to tell people, because I worked in kind of a dangerous field before, and it's like if you look down and look afraid, you're basically saying, "Come hit me."
Absolutely.
So
No,
you
absolutely.
look people in the eyes and you held your head up with confidence.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, plus the fact that you could call somebody at your little age, little size there.
Yes.
That would give me a lot of confidence.
Yes.
Guys.
And like I said, the same thing with in the adult class. So say like you guys come your first day and you're seeing these people throw each other around or rolling, you're like, I'm never going to be able to do that. My husband had 2 spine fusions in his lower back. And I remember teaching him, because I did jiu-jitsu before my husband. And he was like, I'm not going to do that. I was like, yeah, Oopa, basic Oopa that I just showed you guys. He's like, I can't do that. Because the man couldn't even twist. They fused the lower part of his spine. Now, if he was a senior, you'd never think that. He looks like Gumby when he rolls. It's like he's twisting around everywhere. And it's good. It's like forced yoga, is what I like to make jokes about. But over time, you start realizing, like, I can do these things. You know, with enough practice and determination, and if I put the time into it, I can do anything I want, and that builds it up. You know, and you slowly start seeing, especially with these kids, my favorite thing is when you start seeing this kid come to you, and they couldn't even shrink, or they can't even drill, do basic things, the hip bridge like what Rosie did. And then all of a sudden, a month later, you see them accomplish that one thing, and you start slowly seeing that chin raise up, and that smile, and their eyes start to lighten up, and their chest is puffing out. Like Levi, he was very self-conscious, and I was like, hey man, and all of a sudden just, yeah, now he's like walking around all puffed up. And it's great, it's a great feeling, and I love it. I love being an instructor. It's awesome. So, yes?
Talk about confidence. Evelyn was getting picked on at school, and she's like, you sure you want to mess with me? Because I can throw you. So
Yes, her
it's
daughter
there.
does jiu-jitsu too with me. Yes. She's done 5 years, right? 5 years with me. Yeah, and she's a little thing too. Yeah. It's, you do definitely get that confidence. Just knowing, it sounds bad, it's so bad to say, but knowing you can just choke somebody out should be enough. Because we do chokes and shoulder locks and stuff like that. So, yeah, just knowing that you can do that to someone, or just knowing you hold your head a little bit higher and you feel a little bit more like, I wish someone would try.
Yeah.
You know? I've been training for this moment. Just let me try it. So, pretty much.
Or just seeing the kids themselves. Like, I guess Rosie more.
Yeah.
Seeing her, I saw the little princess little girl, you know, that she is, girly girl. And in 1 year, like, she surprised all of us because you didn't see it coming, you know, and even herself, and you're like this little girl can make damage if you let her.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised, and you're like, I feel kind of good, you know, because you're like, I know she had to defend herself, and she needed to as well. So, but she's not
I have a question for Mom then. Do you see that confidence going in the rest of her day, like schooling and with friends? I mean, is this like a confidence building also for life in general to give you more power?
I feel like the one thing that the coach has also taught, not just to defend themselves, but also like, you don't just go in, start doing jujitsu moves just to do it for fun, you know? And that's the one thing that at one point there was times that they want to show it to their friends. And it's like, no, we can't do that because you're going to end up hurting them and whatnot. But they've learned, like, really, they can't just use those moves just with any kid because they don't know it and they can hurt them. Because really what they're learning is you're not learning to just play around. It's not to play around. You learn it because if something were to ever happen, you know what to do in that moment for you to help yourself, defend yourself, and get yourself out of there. You know, buy yourself time to get out of there. So that's what I have liked about that. But as far as me seeing them, since we homeschool, we don't really encounter, you know, bad situations of a kid was bothering me or, you know what I mean? Yeah. But they wanted to use the moves.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
They wanted to
Let me
use
show
the
you this
moves.
throw.
And we're like, you can't do that, you can't do that.
Want to see the ground?
Yeah.
There we go.
I actually have had parents come up to me and tell me that they've had to use jujitsu jujitsu in bullying situations before. And it sounds really terrible, but I always love those stories because I can't stand bullies. But honest to God, it really only takes a takedown and holding a position. And that's pretty much what we taught. We do the throw and then, of course, the top mount position you saw them in. And that's all it takes. They rarely have to use the actual submission that could hurt a kid. Because honestly, the shock enough is this kid took me down and got on top of me. Like, what do I do now? But they can hold that position. We do have bully-proof seminars as well, too. And we do teach as if they're doing it in school or if they're on a playground or something like that, to hold the position and keep the position until someone comes and can diffuse the situation with a parent, teacher, police officer, whoever is in the area. We do teach that as well. So, yep.
The seminar was good, the bullying one.
Yeah.
The kids still talk about it.
Yeah, I'm glad they had fun. I liked it. It was fun. I always have fun teaching the seminars with my dad. Yeah.
All right, well, guys, I just want to let you know, and for people online, we're going to put Britt's contact information in the comments. And I have seen a lot of her demonstrations, and she is definitely amazing. Her studio is out in Copper's Cove, and their mascot is a sloth.
Yeah. Slow and smooth.
So I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and your two little helpers here to come and demonstrate. And you're always welcome to come back because you're awesome, and we love having that information that's just so vital. So,
Thank you so much.
all right, thank you. And I just want to remind everybody, next Wednesday we go to meditation, not medication, meditation. And we're going to be having an event here on Singing Bowl meditation. And it should be very interesting. We're going to also live stream it, but if you want to come, it'll be upstairs, and see how you can relax. So after you guys are busy doing all those exercises,
I need to relax.
come learn.
Learn how to
And you
relax.
can go in your kitchen with your wooden spoons and your bowls,
So
and
making noises.
right, and just get relaxed. So, and that'll be at noon next Wednesday. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you.